From Kalamazoo, direct to you, it's a WKZO.com Quickcast.
Liz Boyd, are you in Lansing today?
I'm in Lansing today, and it's pouring rain up here. How are you?
Well, pouring rain in Kalamazoo as well. Liz Boyd, Governor Granholm's spokesperson. I've got to ask, and I just read the quote, Governor not happy with what she signed today.
She's not happy, and no one should be happy. This is, obviously, we have a budget in place, but it's not the budget we need. And the governor said she's not going to pretend that this is a good budget. The budget cuts rather than supports Michigan's most pressing priorities, educating our kids and helping them pay for a college education, maintaining health care for our most vulnerable citizens, and keeping police officers and firefighters on the streets of our communities. I mean, those are Michigan priorities. This budget does not support those.
Do you think the Republicans, do you think Mike Bishop and the GOP Senate Republicans are happy with this? Is this their budget?
Well, someone said that the Senate Majority Leader spokesman said that the budget was over, and so he wasn't going to talk about it anymore. And I said, well, if I had turned my backs on kids and the neediest citizens in our state and our communities that need police and fire protection, I wouldn't want to talk about it either. So, yes, we do think they turned their backs.
All right. 75 items that were line item vetoed. We heard about the state fair. We heard about census tracking and apportionment. Can you give us any other details?
Oh, there's 75 is a lot. I know that's 75.
Okay, so give us some good ones.
The 75, Jay, probably the largest item in the list of 75. Is the cuts for the 20J school districts.
Okay.
That was, over $51 million. Cutting, 39, 40 school districts that have gotten money to help support their education programs. That might be the largest example.
Specifically, was it any specific area as far as the school districts goes? Was it Detroit? Was it spread out throughout the state?
Well, the 20J districts go around the state, but they tend to be. I don't think there was maybe one or two over in West Michigan.
Okay.
But for example, there was a line item in for the state fair. There was a line item for before and after school programs. In the Department of Human Services, there were a number of vetoes. I mean, it's just so difficult to go through 75 of them in very short order on the phone. But I think what's really important is not only did the governor cut $127 million out of this budget, but this comes on the heels of having resolved $10 billion in budget shortfalls over her tenure since 2003.
We're talking with Liz Boyd. She's spokesman for Governor Granholm. 75 cuts. 75 line items. But the budget is signed. She's not happy with it. Any state jobs cut out of these line items?
We will lose hundreds of workers, hundreds of human service workers. I mean, one of the points that the governor has made and made earlier today is that our caseworkers at the Department of Human Services are averaging 600 to 900 cases per worker. And in that department, we will lose another 300 workers.
Jails.
As a result of this budget.
Did anything with
Jay,
prisons?
let me also remind your listeners that we are at the lowest. I mean, our ranks in terms of state employees are at their lowest since 1973. We have 11,000 fewer workers today than we had in 2001.
Okay. Prisons. I know that had come up on multiple occasions. Did the cuts happen with these line items, or did they not?
Well, not with the line items,
okay.
but we have implemented savings and reductions in spending in our correction system. That's been widely documented. When the governor released her executive budget recommendation back in February, it called for significant savings, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in corrections, and we have been implementing a program to, affect those changes. You've probably listened and heard about the federal government being interested perhaps in the Standish Maximum Correctional Facility. That is a facility that closed as of today.
Okay.
I mean, we have eliminated our prison camps, and we have reduced the number of prison facilities. Now, part of that is the good news that our Michigan Prisoner Reentry Program is having an impact on recidivism, and the crime rate is down. We have fewer people incarcerated today than we did, when the governor took office.
All right, we're talking with Liz Boyd here on 590 KZO. So she's not happy with the budget. It's signed and it's done. Look, it's October 30th. What took so long? We talked to Mike Bishop yesterday. He said, look, we had a budget ready by June. And you just talked about the fact that the governor had something ready by February. What happened?
Well, let's just sort of look. Let's go back and review the year. And again, the governor is by law required to present a balanced budget recommendation to state lawmakers, and she has to do that by a certain date every year. And she did that this year in February as required. But it is up to the legislature to approve a budget and put it on her desk. It is up to the legislature to approve a budget, a balanced budget, that the governor can sign into law. Now, let's remember, they had the budget for 230 days before they approved a budget. This is a legislature, not even a legislature, the Senate Republican leader voted on budget bills and then decided to sit on them for 20 days into the fiscal year. I mean, the bills, they approved bills on September 30th, and then he was concerned that the governor would veto them, rightfully so, and so he didn't even send them to her for 20 days. So, again, we understand that citizens want cooperation. They want people to work together. This governor has obviously been working with lawmakers, been trying to get them to send her a budget that is balanced. But when the Senate Majority Leader says he approved a budget back in June, well, he did not approve a budget that came to the governor's desk that was balanced. He came up with an all-cuts solution that, quite frankly, his own caucus really, you can talk to all the members of his caucus and decide whether they thought that was a realistic budget or not. But again, the budget didn't come to the governor until October, and these budgets the governor signed today only came to her last week.
Okay, we're talking
well into the fiscal year.
We're talking with Liz Boyd here on 590 KZO. So the governor says, look, this isn't over. It's signed. It's done. What happens from here?
Well, a couple of things. The budget that the governor signed, I think K-12 education is a perfect example. The governor signed the K-12 education budget because we wanted to make sure that our schools stayed open. But that budget that she signed included a $165 per pupil cut for school districts across the state. Every school district will see $165 less per pupil than they saw last year. At the same time, lawmakers sent that budget to the governor. We are getting declining revenue estimates from the state treasurer. And so the governor, as required by law, issued a proration. When the state treasurer advises the governor that there is not enough money in the budget to cover the spending for schools, the governor is obligated to issue a proration. And so she did. And that means that without legislative action by November 20th, those school districts that are going to realize $165 less per pupil are going to see another $127 cut per pupil. So our K-12 schools, Jay, are looking at $292 less per pupil for this school year. And that is going to have a dramatic impact on classroom size, on teachers. And, I think it's important, and we think it's important that people know what exactly the choices that were made. The Senate Republicans and the legislature sent us a budget that gives big oil companies a double deduction in the tax code. So they are supporting oil companies who get this double deduction in the tax code over, making them pay their fair share to help us fund important programs for state government. I think citizens, and we think citizens want better. We think they expect better. And when these cuts start to hit home, we believe that citizens will contact their state representative and their state senator and urge them to go back to the table and work with the governor on putting together a balanced budget that protects Michigan's priorities.
Liz, is the governor for moving this whole budget proceeding back to coincide a little bit better with schools? Schools are they're in a crappy situation now because they've got contracts that are signed, they've got all the rest of the spending that's almost all done for the year, and now they've got to figure out how the heck this is all going to work.
Absolutely. There were some freshman lawmakers that actually, I think, introduced a resolution that would require state lawmakers to have the school budget in place by June 1st, or there would be penalties for them, and the governor supports that. I mean, we need to have these budgets. There's no reason for the delay. These are tough decisions. This is, as the governor said, this is what we all raised our hand for. This is the job that we have to do. And we need to be doing the job so that people can plan, because it's just not schools. Many organizations, most of our cities, have a July 1, June 30th fiscal year. So they need to know what kind of state funds they can expect come October 1.
All right, Liz, I know you're busy today, and thank you for squeezing us in. Appreciate it.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this budget. Again, the governor signed the budget today. Government offices will be open on Monday. But clearly the governor is going to continue to fight for the priorities of Michigan families.
So this isn't over. I mean, it may sound like it's over, but it isn't over.
Not over.
All right, Liz, thank you much. Appreciate it. It is the Jay Morey Show, 590 KZO.